All right, on today's episode of Python Papi, we're back inside our TensorFlow course, and we're still doing our malaria mitigating overfitting and underfitting module. Let's have a look at what we went over today. Now, we did take a bunch of notes. We still aren't writing any code as of yet, so we're going to do a little reading, and then we're going to move on to something else. So, in general, we have some hyperparameters to tune, and they are not limited to these, as we have other or many other hyperparameters depending on our problem. Now, the fact that normalization introduces extra parameters, which bring in some noise in the model, has that regularization effect, which help reduce overfitting. So, if we're including batch normalization in our model, then we can feel free to reduce the drop rate or the dropout rate, since this normalization layer already brings in the regularization effect. From here, we're going to look at mitigating. Now, that's all we did for today. We took a lot more notes, but that's all I'm going to read because I want to actually show you something else. We did some more Hugging Face examples, or at least one more. Let me have you look at this now. So today we looked at tokenizers, and what tokenizers do is they give us a deeper look inside of the pipeline. So you can see here we would take a deeper look at pipelines while looking at tokenizers. The auto tokenizer is a generic class. The auto mode for sequence classification is also a generic class, but is more specified for the sequence classification. There are specific tokenizers we can use for specific tasks. We can get a better understanding of these topics by taking a look at the documentation. So this is the original code that we ran from the other days. You can remember we have the transformers. Well, without this line here, we had the transformers. Then we imported the pipeline. Then we had the classifier for the sentiment analysis, and then we had our sentence here that we wanted to classify and get a sentiment on. And look here, we don't have any model specified. So we ran that, and then we got our sentiment back for that particular sentence. So what the tokenizer does is it gives us a deeper look, and it gives us more control of what we can do with that actual sentiment analysis program. So you can see here our model name, we actually specified a model that we want to use, even though it's the default model that we're going to use anyway. This is the regular default model that it's going to default to if we don't specify any model. So it's the same exact thing. We just wanted to pick one just to pick it for an example. And then we have our model equals auto mode for sequence classification dot pre-train. This is how we call the model class and specify that we want it to be pre-trained. And to tokenizer dot from pre-train, we will do the same thing for the auto tokenizer. Also, this pre-train model is very important in Hugging Face because it will a lot of times we're going to see this and it should get familiar with it. Now that we have this, we can copy and paste the code from above from the pipeline, and we can say model equals model, letting them know this is the model we want to use here instead of just leaving it as blank. Even though they're both the same model, this is the default model that we would go to if we didn't specify a model. We're just going to go ahead and use a model name to show you that we can call on any model we want. And then we're going to use a tokenizer equals tokenizer, letting them know that it is a pre-trained model that we will be using. So you can see here, this is the new code that we have here. So you have a classifier equals pipeline, sentiment analysis, and now we have our model equals model, and tokenizer equals tokenizer. We still have the same sentence we want a sentiment analysis on, and then we print that. As you can see, we printed it, and both scores came back exactly the same because, again, it is exactly the same code. It's just that we went a little bit deeper with the tokenizer and got a little more hands-on with it as opposed to letting the program choose what it wanted to choose. So you can see here we have our label, but it did come back as positive, and it came back with a score of 99% positive for both. So that's all we did. That's all we did this morning. We did TensorFlow and we did Hugging Face examples. So yeah. So yep, I'm going to keep on doing my generative AI courses and my TensorFlow courses, and of course, Hugging Face is a part of the generative AI, even though it's not part of the course we're taking on it. So that's why I said I'm going to just keep on doing those two courses and focusing on those two aspects of my journey. Of course, I will keep you posted every step of the way. But for now, it's the Python Poppy. You guys stay Gucci.